It's Wednesday and I'm glad to welcome you to another session of JoyNews Interactive right here on JoyNews Multi TV on DSTV 421 and Go TV 144. Our digital address is GA0992539 in Kokomemle, Accra. But you can also join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. We are JoyNews on TV. I am Apita Sibidi, but you can call me Maps. Now, let's start with the most talked about person, Kofi Annan. Born in 1938, a life well lived, rising to become the 7th Secretary General of the United Nations. He made Ghana proud and Africa proud and sadly passed on a month ago. He's been laid in state at the Accra International Conference Center, from where Maxwell Agbagba joins us. But let's start with Facebook. As part of our celebrations, we asked you to write a 4-line poem to celebrate the late Kofi Annan. Let's see what you guys have been saying. This one is from Davis Bobson, who says, let's go to Lexus, who says, I didn't see his body, so no poem for him. Okay. And Salifu says, Salifu One Heart says, humble man. Okay. Now let's go to someone who's answering the question, Ace Ankuma Gideon, who says, Kofi, born on a special Friday to a lonely family in the coast, far away. He broke odds to attain inevitable heights. By dint of hard work, today he lay aloof like a sculpture's bride, at the mercy of the mournful eyes. Rest in peace, Kofi. Till we meet again. Don't even know when. Ace. Okay. And at Kweku Solom says he's waiting to copy and paste. Okay, other people's poems. But at Sparkles Abdul says, men put together, he stands tall. An astute man finally answers his maker's call. Kofi Annan, I'm proud to have lived as a Ghanaian during your time, for your name shall linger through time. Let's go to John, who says, Kofi Annan, he was called. The world he came and served, peace he came and crusaded, but death cut short the crusade. And at Steve Kobe Aqua says, rest in peace, great hero. And Valanyo Akatia says, freedom fighter, rest well. Now, some Ghanaians are disappointed the casket containing the remains of former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan is closed. But Deputy Information Minister Pius Hadadzi explains that the funeral planning committee decided not to open the casket, but rather drape it in the national colors to show the world the identity of the late Secretary General. Now, does it matter whether the casket is closed? That's the question we're asking you on Facebook. Does it matter whether the casket is closed? At Davis Bobson says, it's not the first to happen and will not be the last to happen. Viewing of the remains will not bring him back. At Michael says, okay, so why are some Ghanaians making a hula baloo about why the casket of Dr. Kofi Annan not open for public view? The wishes of the dead and his family should be respected. Indeed, a fulfilled life is well celebrated, and Dr. Kofi Annan deserves to be celebrated because he served humanity with humility, integrity, and with great distinction. And there's no wonder the whole world is celebrating his demise. The legacy of this global leader and illustrious son of Ghana should be a role model for all those whom by opportunity are in leadership positions to serve their people well, because prosperity will one day judge us all according to our deeds. May his soul rest in perfect glory. So that's from Michael. From Opoki Bismarck says, people, okay, so he's asking a question, are people going around an empty casket? And at Salifu One Heart says, that is Ghana for us. No need to worry. At Salifu One Heart comes in to say that why do they want to resurrect him? If so, then hell no, they must stop and being disappointed. Valanyo Akatia says, watching is all what the people of Ghana are interesting. Madam, they should go to hell. Okay, that's not very nice, Valanyo Akatia. Don't tell people to go to hell. But Davis Bobson says it's not the first to happen and it will not be the last. Now, former President John Mahama has accused President Akufo-Addo of nepotism in the appointment of persons serving in his government. Mr. Mahama said the current development where family members of the president have been appointed to occupy key government positions makes a mockery of the new patriotic party. Criticisms of him, Mahama, when the party was in opposition. Now he says the thing is in politics. Be careful what you say because tomorrow it will come to haunt you, and that is what exactly is happening to them. Now it depends on whether they are qualified or not, and you've been reacting to this on Facebook. Let's see what you guys have been saying. So what the former President Mahama says, the thing is in politics. Be careful what you say because tomorrow it will come to haunt you, and that is what is haunting them, the NPP. Now today relatives everywhere, and when you raise it, they say nepotism, they say no. It doesn't matter if it's the president's relative. It depends on whether they are qualified. So let's go to Facebook on that issue. At Abdul Karim says, where from this man again? Still blaming people. What about then your time when all contracts are worded to your brother alone? If you don't know, it's caused a lot of harm to Ghanaians. At Jojo says, incompetent corruption king, you don't even have 1% of Akufo-Addo's integrity. Okay, and Jojo's opinion there, and he says, Masa, your history, make we think why. And Richardson Kwame says, you could have PhD degree holders in your family who aren't qualified for the specific job given. Square pegs and a round hole. Tando Timothy says, JM, prepare well for the 2020 elections, for you have a greater chance of winning the elections, hands down. Though it won't be easy, the NPP, after assumption of power, have not lived to expectations in my view. Hashtag NDC 2020. And that's from Tando Timothy. Nicholas Della says, tell him to keep quiet. He did the same when he was in government, to the extent that one of his native people bashed my car and felt too pompous to fix it. Okay, if you don't have any message for your next coming, don't try coming at all. Okay, and he got 5 replies for that. But Opoku Apia says, those of us who voted massively for him prefer what you, Mahama, sees as nepotism to you handing over the whole box side field to your brother, to mine. Okay, so he also does that tongue thing again. And at Adam A. Karim says, Nana is better in appointing his family to work for Ghana, but you were given the taxpayers' monies and resources to your brother to buy jets and also to mine our bauxite for free. We thank God our bauxite money will now use to build roads and schools for the unborn generation of this country. And Jerry Jan says, the NPP lied their way into power by spewing out okay. And Zoo Sadiq says, by all standards, Nana and the NPP, as it is, not respect Ghanaians. They actually don't care. Those are some of your views on Facebook. Join the conversation, Joy News on TV. Now, let's head back to the Accra International Conference Center, where Maxwell Agbaba joins us. He's currently speaking to Emmanuel Bombande, who's a former Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister and currently a senior UN mediation advisor.
That continues to keep our fragile global community to be at peace. He saw the 21st century to be offering us an opportunity for equity, and he said, if in every country there's a respect for human rights, there is development and there is peace, there is bound to be human progress. And so in larger freedom, one of his first reports, he continued this conversation to the point that in the Millennium Development Goals, we had for the first time measurable indicators of how we can monitor our different states progressing in human development and in human security. This became the precursor to the Sustainable Development Goals. But keep also in mind that as a mediator, Busumuru Kofi Annan was involved with his skills in building consensus in very complex issues. And it did not matter which global leader Busumuru Kofi Annan had a way of engaging, whether it was sitting on the mat with Somali women and listening to them attentively, which then became a message of inspiration and hope, or whether it was engaging world leaders such as the President of the United States. Busumuru Kofi Annan was gifted in building consensus. But my good brother, that legacy that embodies him, the virtue of tolerance, even in the midst of crisis, his capacity to be calm, which all of us have come to respect. And in my own interaction with him, this was what I always remarked. He invited global civil society to be very active in peace building. And he insisted on the inclusion and participation of women. He was an advocate of the voiceless, a powerful voice for the voiceless. But at the same time, he was tireless in advocating for peace. This is the man we bid farewell and honor. And if you were to ask me to make a summary, we can talk about him globally. We can talk about him as much as we want. But let's talk about Busumuru Kofi Annan home. What Busumuru Kofi Annan wants all of us to do, you and I, and every leader, whether you are a religious leader, a political leader, a social leader, a media practitioner, what he's asking us is that Ghana must be an example and continue to be the beacon of democracy and peace. The contradiction is we cannot do that when we are tolerant of vigilante groups in political parties, when there is rancor, hatred, division in our political competition, when people are prepared to divide in order to have political capital, when we are able to create conditions that are so intolerable and turn on you, the media, and blame you for the reason. Whilst our behavior and our attitude is not an inspiration to the young people, all that, as he lies in state and as we respect him, these are things that are not his values and his principles, and he disagrees with them. So if we are celebrating his legacy, let's bring back into our politics respect for one another, decency in our politics, remove intolerance, remove vigilante groups, and respect one another. So that at the end of the day, the choice of leadership should be in the hands of the people of Ghana. It is not how you force your way into leadership. It is how there is an environment that is enabling. In that way, the younger people like you will do more, because you know that given the right opportunity, you too will be president. But when violence becomes the order of the day, many of you will be discouraged. And it's one of the reasons why some of our young people, they look around and they feel that they should leave. So I have a message of encouragement, taking it from a man we are celebrating today, we are honoring, and we are bidding a final farewell. That before we do anything, let's leave his values. Let's put into practice what he lived for, not for Ghana and Africa, but the whole world.
These are some deep thoughts you've shared with us this morning, Mr. Bombandi. But before you go, I want to find out your thoughts also. Now the world is dealing with a global, threat of terrorism.
Yes.
We know that during Kofi Annan's second term, that was when we had 9/11,
yes,
and subsequently was followed by the invasion of, Iraq by, the United States. We know all of that played out during his term. Do you think the world is doing enough to fight terrorism?
I would be the first to acknowledge that we are not yet doing enough. We have various strategies, some of them heavily dependent on counterterrorism, which basically is a militaristic approach. But we in the Department of Political Affairs, in supporting Secretary General Antonio Guterres, are saying that let us allow dialogue and mediation to be in the forefront of how our humanity is confronting and dealing with global problems. If you relate it back to Busumuru Kofi Annan, he brought to the forefront of international diplomatic dialogue human dignity, equity, and he believed deep down that if in this world we created an environment in which justice is about everybody being served with justice and equity, so that development is spread out for everybody, there will be no extremism, there will be no terrorism, there will be no rancor, there will be no hatred. Terrorism is simply a defeat of preventive diplomacy. And what Kofi Annan stood for was that there is no problem that cannot be solved if you are prepared to have the political will to talk about it and to engage on it. He did his best, and I'm happy that his successors, Ban Ki-moon and now Antonio Guterres, continue to insist that let's put our efforts more in prevention. But the good thing is, the prevention should not be seen just at a global level. The prevention should be seen beginning with the state at the national level. That's why, as we have this conversation, so many people are waiting so that in January 2020, they will be looking for funds to campaign for peaceful elections. But they are mute today on anything that could be an infraction that could lead us to that peace. You start building the peace now, and election 2020 will just come and pass. You don't wait for the accumulation of grievances, the sense and feeling of some people that there is some form of injustice. And then when in 2020 you begin to see the tensions, people are running left and right and looking for funds to now go and make it look like peace is a magic wand, and you wave it, and you
Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister and currently a senior UN mediation advisor, Emmanuel Bombande, former Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister, beg your pardon, Emmanuel Bombande, there at the Accra International Conference Center with my colleague Max Wabuba. On that note, we're going to take a quick breather. When we come back, we're doing something different for Tech Talk. Stay tuned. You're still watching JoyNews Interactive with me, Mapita CBD. It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It's Tech Talk. But today we're doing things a little bit different. In studio, I've got Stephen Donko and Yvonne Dako, all from Linux Accra. And they're going to tell us what exactly Linux is. You know, a community of open source software advocates. But what exactly is it? Now, tell us, Stephen, let's start with you. What is open source software?
So basically, open source softwares are just programs or softwares that are actually made available to users that are able to actually, who have ideas or have the technical know-how to be able to work on the software. So when they basically say open source, what it means is that the language that have been used to write the programs are actually made available to everybody that is able to learn or read, and who is able, who has the technical knowledge. So you're able to actually edit the software if you want to be able to collaborate with it. If it's for educational purposes, you can actually do the same. So if I do write a program, I actually license it by giving it out to anybody who is actually ready to use that same application that is I've written for any better purposes. So if let's say Yvonne, so Yvonne, the last time when he joined Linux Accra, he actually came with a problem because he was actually looking for a solution. We didn't actually have the solution really available. So what we did was we went online and looked for the solution that she was actually looking for. So we find what it is that best suited her. So all that it is that we pull that solution down, which is the entire software package that actually fits what it is she actually really needed. Then we edited it to actually suit it because we had the technical know-how to actually edit that application. Okay,
okay. So I'm going to come to you, Yvonne. What is Linux?
I want to help her because she's still new.
Okay. So Stephen will take that question.
So basically, Linux is just a language or a distribution. That's it is you want to say. On the whole, most people are actually used to Windows as an operating system. So Linux is actually also a different operating system that has actually been put together in different distributions. So based on your field and your interest, you might actually find a distribution that best suits what it is you want to do. So we have people that use what we call the ARC or the Kali Linux. Basically, those who are actually into security. Most of the times, that's what tools as it is they need to do whatever functionalities or whatever work as it is they're doing. You may have all those tools that are actually embedded in that operating system for you.
All right, so let's talk about Software Freedom Day. Why do we need Software Freedom Day? What is Software Freedom Day?
From my perspective, it's just a day to show to the world, so for Ghana, that we have free and open source software out there where you can customize software according to your needs, and you don't have to pay like as much as you need to pay if you're using Windows or another operating system.
Okay. Yeah. And then you have an event on Saturday.
Yep.
So what time is it? Where is it? And when I'm coming, what should I expect?
So on Saturday, we will have different varieties of things that are going to happen. So on Saturday at 9 o'clock, the event actually opens to all. It's free to participate. To be happening at the Ghana Kofi Annan in the Center of Excellence at Rich. So on that event, they will be having people coming to teach the public how to actually develop games or how to play games on Linux. Because it has actually been a great challenge that people are not able to play games on Linux. So we demonstrate to the whole world that there are actually ways of actually playing games on Linux and be able to even develop games on Linux. We'll be having people who have actually developed applications. So we're having application developers to showcase or demo some of the works as it is they've actually done. We have certain companies like eCampus who develop who showcase their softwares or application and platform to the entire community. Since it's based on SDGs, we have people coming from the UN to be able to also help tell us why open source actually plays a major role in the sustainable development goals. Because if we are saying that we want to be able to sustain whatever project as it is we need, sometimes you not actually need capital. Because if it's free and open, you can actually have a software that can actually serve the entire country at no cost. All that it is you need is that you need technical people to have that technical knowledge and skills to be able to deploy the software as it is you basically need. All right,
okay, thank you so much. So for our tech talk today, we had Team Linux, and then they can catch you Saturday at the Kofi Annan Training Peacekeeping Center.
No. The Center of Excellence.
The Center of Excellence at Ridge from 9 o'clock in the morning. All right, Saturday, you can join Stephen Donko and Yvonne Dako, all from Linux Accra. From me, Mapita CBD and the JoyNews Interactive team, we say thank you and keep the conversation going. JoyNews on TV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.